everybody. You're listening to The Effect Radio Network. DJ Kid here with you with Joseph from 7 Day Slumber. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. I did get to see you guys in Boise, Idaho this last October when you guys rolled through with Magdalene Rose and Disciple.
Yeah.
Killer show. I loved your intro.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah, we had a little bit of a weird intro. Well, I think on that show we had an even weirder intro.
Your media blew out halfway through a song. Yeah.
Blew out, man. We had I thought it was the power that went out, but apparently we had some issues, and but it was fun, man. We had a good time.
So I totally roll that kind of stuff with worship teams that I'm a part of. I'm very much that kind of presentation guy. So when it went out, I kind of chuckled because like, man, we deal with that, and it's real when we have to deal with it. It's crazy. But the Macarena bit, how did that even happen?
It was just funny. We were thinking, man, we've always had some kind of super serious intro with all of our stuff, and like on Winter Jam we had this and we used part of the intro that we used on Winter Jam where it was like everything's falling apart, alerts are happening, woot, woot, and it's like times are changing, buildings are crumbling, the whole thing. And we did that all throughout Winter Jam, and it was fun and it was awesome and super serious, and then it gets to this heavy part, and it's a lot of fun. But we were like, well, this tour, we figured Disciple would probably do something serious, so we didn't want to make it too serious. Like, we wanted people to laugh and have a good time during the tour, and people are always asking for drum solos, and we never ever do drum solos.
Your kid is amazing. As a drummer myself, I've got to say that he is astonishing.
Thank you. Yeah, so I appreciate that, but he doesn't like to. He's not real showy like that. He's a phenomenal drummer, and to be honest, not just because he's my son, but he's the best drummer that I've played with, and he's amazing. And so, but he's not real showy like that. And so people ask him to do a drummer, and he doesn't want to feel like he's overdoing it or whatever. But I was like, man, dude, we need to start with a drum solo. And so we went with the Macarena sounded funny, and having this, I'm like, and so there's this thing in like the Hispanic culture, especially like Mexicans, other, I don't know if they do it in like Venezuela or anywhere else, but I know in Mexico there's this thing called a grito, and it's like
I mimic that all the time. I grew up in kind of a heavy Latin area, and so you heard that walking down the hall. There's
all kinds of different gritos. There's sad gritos, there's happy gritos, and there's festive gritos, and so it's different. It's a different kind of thing. But anyway, so I was like, dude, it'd be funny if we did that. And I told Blaise, the Macarenas, I said I did it like I wanted to see if people actually would do it.
I know, right?
And so we watched them every show. So Blaise put together the intro. He made it sound amazing, and then put together the drum solo, the whole thing. But really, what we were doing is backstage watching to see if anybody was doing the Macarena.
If I'm honest with you, I almost did.
Everybody does it at all the shows, so it got to be a thing, and we were having fun. It was just a fun thing.
I challenge you to take it out to Winter Jam next time and see a whole stadium of people do it.
I bet they would, man. Who knows, man? We may do it. Hopefully they'll have us back. We had a good time on Winter Jam, so hopefully they'll have us back.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Hey, so let's start with a basic question. I mean, that was a basic statement, but 7 Day Slumber, where did the name come from? And I know that you guys have been around a long time. Not respectfully, you guys have blazed your path, and it's amazing. But has it developed more of a persona, like a personal meaning through the years?
Well, 7th Day Slumber, the name is just Exodus 20:11. God created the earth in 6 days, and on the 7th day he rested. But I have to be honest, I didn't come up with that name. A friend of mine, Bernie Dufresne, came up with that name. I was a new Christian. As you said, 7 Day Slumber's been around a long time, 20 something years. So I had just gotten saved. I'd only been saved probably a year. And I was in Bible college. I got saved and I was ready to go to Bible college, and there was a lot of things I probably should have done before I went straight to Bible college. I thought as long as I'm not using cocaine anymore,
You're good.
I'm on fire for God. I'm doing, that
It's
I have some
ironically, it's the typical saved addict response.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
you see.
So yeah, so I didn't stay in Bible college too long. I still needed to clean some things up. But my buddy Bernie, I met
Uh-huh.
in Bible college, and I had already been writing music, and I went from all the super like depressing stuff that I used to write to I got saved, and I'm like, I want all my songs to like be uh, who I am now, and not what I used to be, what God has done for me. So Bernie was like, dude, we should record some of those songs. He's like, I have a song I want to record, and he's a drummer, but he's like, I wrote a song, and maybe we should go into the studio and record them. So he's like, I've got some money, and I can kind of pay for it if you want to put your songs on there. And I was like, cool. He's like, but we need a band name, even though we're not in a band, we need a band name.
Right.
And I was like, dude, I don't have no idea. And then he was like, how about Seventh Day Slumber? That's where the name came from. I didn't know what it meant because I was still a new Christian.
Right.
Little did I know that every band had the name 7 in it somewhere. 7-Day Jesus,
7 Time Down.
Yeah, there were bands with 7 in it. And so I was just like, oh, dude, that sounds cool, man. And it reminded me of like weird names like Hootie and the Blowfish.
Right.
And
so that takes me to my next question for you. When you started, and I was a fan when you first started out, I was listening to the Effect Radio at that point in time. I was a teenager, and they started playing your stuff off the Matthew 25 album. Was your very first one, right?
Yeah,
99, 2000. Well, yeah, 98.
Effect is doing this a long time.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. And so in that album, and when I heard it for the first time, I was still kind of growing in my musical talents. I had been playing in churches, worship leading, not worship leading, but worship playing all my life. I've been a drummer since I was 5 and growing into that. And so as a teen, I'm like, man, I really want to break out of this. And I was really leaning towards the heavier rock and the pop punk stuff. And really just trying to figure out how can I make church music that I have to play with an edge that sounds good. And I heard your guys' album and it was like, okay. And I chuckled in my brain. I still think about it to this day. You guys had kind of a Hootie sound, but it was like shove it in your face rock style. It was almost precursing to what you guys did.
Yeah, what's funny about that is it's funny that you're saying that. So I grew up listening to like Metallica, Slayer,
you can see that now.
yeah, but it's funny though because I got on this Hootie kick for a while, and so when Hootie came out with this record called Cracked Rear View, and had all those hits,
the best album ever as far as Hootie goes.
Yeah, I only want to be with you. It's like, dang, let her cry. Had all the songs.
He ruled the charts for like 2-3 years. Oh
yeah. So every song was a single on that record, and I was like, I got into this Hootie kick. Little did I know that would influence that record that I wrote.
It always does.
All I was listening to was that Hootie record, and it was funny, like because that's not what I normally write, or that's not what my music normally sounded like. But because I was on a Hootie kick for like I don't know 4 months, just listening to it all the time. Then we go write this record, and it's starting to, and it sounds like Hootie and the Blowfish, but with an edge of like Soundgarden or Stone Temple Pilots. Or
it's almost like you blended all of the 90s together.
It really was. It's like I'm trying to find who I am, but that's who I am. All of that.
And then you guys came out in 2005 and totally killed the charts and launched 7 Day Slumber into Christian rock as it is, and you guys nailed it, man.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so I mentioned before we got started, I interviewed you back in 2003 when you guys were breezing through to Boise, Idaho, a long time ago. I stepped away from studio work here, went into tile work. I got married, had some kids, did life, and as they call it here, they brought me back from the dead last year. So I love the fact that I get another chance to be able to speak to you again now 20 years later. It is weird, but it's cool. So I just want to say, in being a fan of your music for so long and being a little seasoned of it myself, I have my own groups. I do write songs. I do my own stuff. I've actually made contact with you a time or two about trying to send stuff to you. It's just gotten lost in the mix, I'm sure. But because of your catalog and the songs that are spread through your catalog, your sound, plus I know that your heart for worship and where God brought you from, brink of death, the whole bit. Are you guys mostly a worship rock band who plays rock, or are you a rock band who loves to worship God with your style of music?
Well, I always believe that worship is a lifestyle. So I live my life in worship of,
Mm-hmm.
of God. And so I feel like our music is worship even when it's not a worship album per se.
Yeah.
But I would say that if you're gonna ask me what style of music that I love and listen to, I would say the heavier stuff is what I play for the most part in my playlists.
Mm-hmm.
I like heavier stuff. And back even the day, like POD was one of my favorite bands. I would always have POD cranked up in my blind side. Oh, the
Mm-hmm.
bands like that, Demon Hunter.
Everything we played on the Effect Radio in 2003
Right.
to 405.
That's my style.
Yeah.
But I can't lie to you. I'm a huge Chris Tomlin fan. I love Chris Tomlin. I love Mercy Me. I love Casting Crowns.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love worship. Some of the newer worship, I haven't like I don't listen to a lot of the newer worship
Yeah.
as much. But I love it when I hear you'll hear it on some of our worship albums.
So,
It's
so
because
question on that, is it because I kind of feel the same way you do. Is it because of the storytelling is different, or is it that the music itself is taking a turn and isn't really quite your taste?
to me, I just feel like I'm trying to be really politically correct, but I would say honestly, if I'm just shooting straight, it just doesn't hit me the same way.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know if it's because there's some great songs out there
Mhm.
that I like, and then there's some from the same artist that I'm like, that,
Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
that doesn't sound. It doesn't. If I'm gonna be real, it doesn't sound genuine.
Yeah. It's
Like
formulaic.
that's how I feel. Now, I'm not saying I'm not judging someone's heart.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not saying that these new worship I just feel like it's become more of a of a style as like
It's
the
it's it's definitely a sought after and money making genre in the
like it's
last
a
5
career now.
years. Yeah.
It's a career where it used to be like, you know,
It was an intimate piece that you played in your show to show
I
people
remember
that you were genuine.
remember that old school song, I'm coming back to
Yes.
the
Yes.
heart. Like to me, those are the songs that I mean, I'm like, oh man, like that hits me in the feels. But there are some newer songs that if you listen to our last worship album,
Hmm.
we have one coming out in 2025 as well. But if you listen to our last worship album, the Lion and the Lamb worship album, there's newer music on there, and there's songs on there that I love that
Yeah.
are newer. So, but if you were to check my playlist, you're gonna find a lot of older school stuff, even back to the old days of like Daryl Evans and
Oh wow. Yeah, those
stuff
guys.
like
All right,
that.
I'm
My
gonna
son,
I'm gonna move us along a little bit. So through the years, I've been tracking with you guys. You always speak about Jesus through your lyrics, but you also tie in the reality check that you had in the back of an ambulance as also a part of identifying mental struggles and stuff like that. And something that I saw. First of all, Magdalene Rose, your daughter-in-law,
yeah,
her message and her songs are incredible. I love the message of it, mental health and various things like that are going through. And then
yeah,
lately, you guys. So as you were developing, I could tell that you're still trying to be real and authentic to who you were and what you were struggling with, what you were moving through, but also having hope that Jesus is always the person to look for. And then as you've been coming and getting harder in the last few years, it's almost like you're identifying mental health issues that people have been struggling with as a culture, and you're still trying to point people back to God, right? And
Right.
so, why is that so important to you?
Well, like I was saying, when I was talking about, by the way, I don't know if that Daryl Evans thing was not supposed to be said on radio or
Oh, you're
not.
good. You're good. You're
Okay.
good.
Okay. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know what his history is. So forgive me if I offended somebody, but at the end of the day,
We all have our tastes. It's fine.
yeah. Okay. Well, either way, moving on. I would say that, for me, one of my daughter-in-law, which you mentioned, Magdalene Rose, what she does is so needed right now.
Mhm.
What she does and her music is amazing. And my son and her write all the music and produce all the music along with Weston, who's our longtime guitar player. And anyway, what she does is so needed. People are hurting, people are struggling, people are lost. And then there are people that grew up in the church
Yeah.
that still don't have a relationship with God. Like they have this idea of who God is. And like my mom and dad are Christians, so I am too.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a head knowledge, not a heart knowledge yet.
right. And so Maggie, what I'm I'm a fan of her as a person. She's my daughter-in-law, so I love her as my own daughter.
Yeah.
But I'm a fan of her as a person, and I'm also a fan of her music. But what she does ministering to those those hurting kids is like it I have a special place for that because even though I'm older now,
Mhm.
I was a kid at one time and I so needed somebody like her to speak that kind of life and value
Mhm.
into me to make me feel like I had some worth and value. And so what she does is super important. But I also believe that's something that 7 Day Slumber has done over. And we brought Maggie and her other band. We brought them on their very first tour ever,
Right.
and so they've grown up to us and grown up with us. And so anyway, I feel like the pain that I've endured over the years, while it was my decision to make to do the things, I don't believe God made me do any of that. Now God used what the enemy made for evil,
Yeah.
God used it for his glory.
We're
And
still responsible for our own decisions.
exactly. That's my point, is that I made those decisions, but I believe that God is using it. And music is a tool. It's an avenue. It's a way that's a powerful way to be able to express to people that life is not hopeless.
Mhm.
There is something bigger than your pain, than your struggles, and there is someone bigger who loves you, who sees you, who knows your hurt, and he is the answer.
Right.
While you're searching for answers, he is the answer. And so we've never strayed away from that in 20 something years. I've made my mistakes.
Mhm.
I've had some hard times in as a Christian man, and I've just done things as a Christian man I'm embarrassed to admit.
Right.
Um, Looked at things as a married man as a I wish I never would have, you
Right.
know, things like that. And my wife's in the next room, her and I've been married 25 years and I'm thankful for her. But man, to say that I've been the perfect husband, man, I'd be lying. I've made mistakes and I have a loving wife who has loves me. And like I said, these are me expressing this to you right now, being vulnerable like that. There are people, both Christian and non, who struggle with things, who
Yeah.
have made mistakes in it. And whether you're a Christian or not, so you don't want to put that out there. I'm putting this out here on Effect Radio. Like, you don't want to put that out there.
Exactly.
Somebody has to,
Yeah.
so we feel like we're not alone.
I think that we forget, even as just fellow believers, that the garbage that we walk through personally is also shared because other people walk through the same garbage in their own personal life. But the enemy is so good at deceiving us that you're the only one dealing with this, and we try to hide it. And so I think that what you're doing right now, I think it's great because it brings to light just any circumstance that anybody's in, man or woman, you know, adult, child, doesn't matter, that a life with God is still dirty. God does the cleaning, but we are still dirty. You know, Paul says, you know, I'm the sinner of sinners, you know?
Yeah. No, you're right. It is true. I mean, but I think that's the thing, is that we are all flawed, and we all are dirty to a certain extent. But I think that in our in our quest to be better and to be good role models and a good example, especially in the church,
Mm-hmm.
we feel like we shouldn't say certain things because it could cause somebody else to stumble or cause somebody else to, you know, think it's okay. But look, at you have to find a place where you're able to share that with other people, that you've made those mistakes. Not only is it good for you,
Yeah.
because we're supposed to confess our sins to one another, and fellowship is key in this whole thing.
Getting it outside of you so the enemy can't use it against you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But it also, once again, like we just said, it helps people to know that, man, I'm not alone in this. But in our quest for striving to be a good role model, we keep so much stuff to ourselves. We had a record called Death by Admiration.
I was super like thrilled when that album came out. I actually wasn't here yet, and it came out, and I was working in tile, and I'm like, oh my gosh, man, that album had me hopping at work for months.
Well, good, man. Well, I love that record too, and my son was a huge influence on that record, Blaise. And him and Weston, they really were instrumental in the songwriting. But the title, I named it Death by Admiration because that's what I felt like was happening to me. I was being killed by because people wonder what that title means, but
Yeah.
what that title really means is that there are people like, Joseph, I love you, man. You've been such an inspiration. I got off dope because of your music, man, and God, but you know, using your music, and you know, or Joseph, I quit drinking, man, because of your music, or I'm a better husband now, and because you were honest about looking at porn or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it was like, and I was hearing these things, but I was still struggling in my own life with certain things, and I was like, people were admiring me, and I'm not saying idolizing me. I don't think people were idolizing me at all. They didn't have me as an
Yeah.
idol in their life. They had me as a person they looked up to, a role model,
Mhm.
and they admired me. And because of that admiration, I didn't want to let them down. And so I kept things to myself. I wouldn't even tell my pastors what
Yeah.
I was going through, because I was like, I was embarrassed, and I didn't want to shatter anything that they thought, because not because I wanted to be up on a pedestal, but because I didn't want to hurt them.
Man, you're
I didn't
speaking my language. I've lived that myself. I totally
Yeah.
understand that.
So that admiration was killing me, because they weren't trying to, don't get me wrong. They were just looking at me as like, man, this guy really helped me.
Yeah.
And so Death by Admiration, that's where that title came from.
That's amazing. So
Listen to that song. Listen to that song, Death by Admiration, and now read the
with
lyrics.
that definition, yeah, with that explanation, it'll highlight, I think, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So My Novocaine and Fractured Paradise. Fractured Paradise is your latest album you have out right now, right?
Yeah, I love that record. I love that record so much. And working with Blaise on that one, again, this one, My Novocaine, that song is a deeply personal song. And I had no idea, because we wrote this song on that record called Bullet Meant for Me, a
Okay.
Bullet Meant for Me. And this is like another part of Bullet Meant for Me. And a lot of people don't know that. It's like
A part two.
yeah, they're related. And so a Bullet Meant for Me, Blaise and I were writing this song about my alcoholism, and how I felt 10 feet tall and bulletproof. And it's even a line in the song. And Blaise said, you know, Daddy, we were talking about another way to write the song. And he goes, you know, Daddy, you may have been 10 feet tall and bulletproof, but we felt every shot. And I was like, dang.
Oh man.
Like my kids felt every bullet. And then after I stopped like crying, you know,
Right.
priority like that. I was like, dang, you never want to hurt your children.
Yeah.
And I realized I knew that I'd hurt them, but this was like seeing it in a different way. Like, dang, I was the one who had that gun. You remember that old school song, and the hammer was in my hand?
Yeah.
I don't even know what song that was.
Project 86 did this one. Oh man, I just lost the title. Me Against Me. Me Against Me.
Yeah. And so anyway, I was like, dang, that whole thing was like, now I'm the one with the gun, and I can't believe it. Like, I was 10 feet tall and bulletproof, but it was really me with the gun, and it was my kids and my wife, my kids that were taking every shot. Yeah. So that's what a bullet meant for me is about. But the song My Novocaine, how does that relate? Well, it relates because Blaise was struggling while he was praying for his daddy and seeing this man he's looked up to his whole life, a man that he's seen so strong, and so like he saw me as like his hero. He still does, thank God. But even through that drinking stuff, but anyway, he sees this man as his hero, who's now he's had to try to help me up as younger, 12 years old, trying to help me up off the ground because of alcohol. And so here he is questioning God, and like, God, do you even see me? Do you even know who I am? Like I know you're there, but I wonder sometimes. And it's that the lyrics of Novocaine are.
Well, I've got to say it hit my son. So my family went through a pretty brutal divorce the last 3 years or so. Mom and dad now, the last couple of months, we've been able to actually start talking and trying to patch things up. But my kids, my older kids, they've struggled pretty hard, and they've walked away. They're pretty mad at God, understandably. My daughter's mentioned something to me on the effect of like, how can some so good end so fast, so badly? And my son is one that doesn't talk, and he struggled pretty hard. And going to October, I got tickets for both of my sons to go, and they haven't wanted anything to do with Jesus or the church or anything. And I said, well, just listen to this band, listen to this song, My Novocaine, listen to this song. You might like it, because he's also a drummer. He's trying to follow dad.
Yeah.
And it starts up, and he just looks at me, and then you start going into the song, and by the end of the song, he's tearing up. And I'm like, you okay? He's like, just play it again. And just play it again. Just play it again. And so it's a powerful song. And it's affecting a lot of people out there that are going through major issues, and hearing what Blaise has gone through and trying to put that into the words with you, it's incredible, because I get it. I get it. And thank you for those songs, man. I'm going to go ahead and move us along. What was that?
I'll share that with Blaise.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'd love to talk to him at some point too. We can get to that at another interview, but
him and Maggie were having a meeting with their pastor this morning. So
awesome.
This afternoon. But anyway, yeah, he's in the next round. I think he was going to come in, but he didn't want to interrupt.
Oh man, I'd love to be able to chat with you guys both at some point, because I am also a drummer son for my father. And so how is that for you? How do you like playing music with your son? Hey, Blaise.
There he is. Playing music with Blaise is I've tried to describe it many times, and I haven't been able to. It's hard to explain the joy that I have. I don't know, man. I just look back, and there are times, honestly, where I look back at him and I'm like, I can't believe this is actually my life.
Yeah.
Like, because I was such a bad person. I don't want to say bad. Like, I did messed up so much.
Yeah.
And then after being a Christian, you heard the story of Blaise, like, having to help me up off the ground. Like, dude, I don't deserve this. And then not only is he my son, and I'm like, this dude is like living for Jesus, and
he's lighting up a kit like nobody else.
He's a killer drummer. He's a killer drummer, and he's literally the best drummer I've played with. I'm like, dude, this is wild.
Right.
There's a lot of emotions. Now, I've managed to kind of control those emotions because it used to be where I'd almost feel like crying each time I'd look back at him when we were playing.
Yeah.
But now I'm just like, I look back at him and now he's my son,
Yeah.
but he's also like my colleague,
Yeah.
I, he's an inspiration in the band. Like I see him going, bah, bah, and he's getting me hyped up. And so he's like now my colleague. Like
Yeah. And
he's
Blaise,
better than
you gave my Blaise, you gave my kid a drumstick at the October show in Boise, Idaho. I just want to tell you personally, thank you so much for that. It really kind of sparked something in him.
That's so awesome. Yeah, no, I always love whenever people are interested and want a drumstick. Sometimes,
Yeah, he was like, "Well, could I have one?" And we were standing by your booth, and your wife Joseph, she's like, "Well, we can just give you one." And he's like, "Okay." And then you came up, and it was like, "Hey, go get a sign." And so he went out and with my other son, and you gave him a drumstick as well. So I thought it was awesome.
so cool. I always love that. Sometimes I'm like running low because we're at the end of a tour. So,
Yeah.
but I always love being able to like, I just, because I know I've gotten a few drumsticks from drummers that I like, and it's always like, oh man, this is so cool. Like I have a few in my closet. I know how it feels, and so I think I just love doing that.
Well, we're gonna start wrapping it up real quick, but something I want to say since Blaise is in the room, and Dad, you might be really proud of this. Watching the show in October, I really think, and I might make Kevin Young mad as well, but I honestly think Maggie's still the show. Maggie and Blaise still the show.
Man, I feel every night. I feel like she's all. I'm so like.
Get out the picture.
It's so cool. Just like and I think it's cool because it's like obviously I'm a part. Like my dad is the singer for 7th Day Summer, and Maggie is obviously Magdalene Rose. But like and I get to be a part of both of them in like on stage and on like in the writing aspect. Like me and Maggie Weston write everything. Like it's all three of us are the only people that do any of the production or the writing or recording, and we just have it get mixed. And so we're all super like proud of all of that. And then with 7th Day Slumber, Weston and I and my dad do a lot of the writing, and so it's a similar thing, just different singers. But and Maggie has even helped with some of the 7th Day stuff. But
yeah, Maggie's an amazing songwriter too.
Yeah.
But cool though, because like I'm a part of both of them, but they're both so different in like the sense that they both reach different audiences. Like and like my dad is ministering to people that are like people that are his age and younger.
Yeah.
And Maggie's ministering to people that are her age, and like the younger people that 7th Day Summer is reaching, my dad is able to minister them in like a
fatherly way, and she can take it on the
exactly.
Yeah.
And with Maggie, like me and her get to minister to them as like, hey, like I understand what you're going through right now. Like and so it's such a cool, like it's so cool getting to be a part of both, but also like there's times where I'm doing something, but I see Maggie is talking to this girl her age, or it's our age, or my dad is talking to somebody, and it's just like it's cool getting to be a part of it, just as cool as it is to see it happening and like
right
and be a part of things and like wow, this is so cool. Like I don't know why I'm a part of this, but I'm so thankful for it, and it's such a blessing, and
that's awesome. Well, hey Joseph, what can we expect from 7 Day Slumber moving forward, 2005 and future?
Well, we have 2 albums coming out. We have the Fractured Paradise Garden of Shadows edition.
Ooh.
And it'll have 5, maybe 6 absolutely brand new tracks. And these are not B-side tracks. These are brand new written songs that hit as hard, if not harder, as the ones. And I don't just mean heavy, they're heavy, but I'm talking about the writing content, the catchy melodies, that stuff. They're big songs.
Awesome.
We have 6 written, but 5 or 6 are going to go on the record, however many we can get mastered. But I think that that'll happen. But it's Fractured Paradise Garden of Shadows edition. That will be out probably early April, like the first week of April, maybe end of March. But we have a single coming out like in 5 weeks. I believe. And that single, no, we have not announced the single yet. I'll tell you the name of it here first, but it's called Black Roses, White Doves.
Ooh.
And that's coming out, and it's just it's a powerful, powerful song about basically what I'm offering you as a funeral because you need to die to yourself type thing.
Nice.
It's a pretty awesome song. But anyway, so we have Fractured Paradise, the Garden of Shadows edition, 16 songs total. Then in the fall, we have a brand new worship album, 11 songs. It's a full album, 11 tracks, like I said. And that worship album will be out. I want to say the fall, but it could be earlier. But anyway, so we have 2 albums dropping. And then, of course, Magdalene Rose is dropping a full-length album
Right on.
this year as well.
Sweet. Well, maybe we can get her set up for Artist of the Month as well when that gets closer. I'd love to be able to interview, both Maggie and Blaise as well for something like that. Well, Joseph, thank you so much for your time. Blaise, thanks for peeking in. And Joseph, thank you so much for providing the music that we played here at The Effect for so long. You gave us kudos as well. You've been a part. We've been together in ministry together for a long time. And we're always excited when you get new stuff. And please don't stop warring for the kingdom. And we ask that God continue to bless you and the group and all that you guys do.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, Joseph and I are going to keep talking for just a minute. We're going to let everybody on the radio go. God bless you guys. You've been listening to 7 Day Slumber and DJ Kid.